actually get to look at this end of the dais for just about 5 minutes, and then we'll get started. So I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting for December the 13th for the City of Farmers Branch. The first item on this evening's agenda is the invocation, and I'd like to invite Pastor Scott Hilcomb McLean from Christ United Methodist Church to the podium to bring tonight's invocation. If you all rise, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Council, and all of you who are present tonight. May we pray. Loving God, as we gather this evening, we seek your guidance, your wisdom, your support throughout this meeting of our city's City Council. We ask you to help us to engage in meaningful discussion, help us to be respectful of each other, and to grow together as representatives of Farmers Branch as we seek to nurture the bonds of community. We ask you to fill us with grace as we make decisions that affect our community. Look graciously upon our city. Where there is pride, subdue it. Where there is need, supply it. Where there is error, correct it. Where there is division, heal it. Bless and protect our citizens, civil servants, police, first responders. Bless our schools, the students, teachers, staff, administrators, and boards. Bless all who work to make Farmers Branch a wonderful place to live and to work. Bless our new mayor, the City Council, all of our places of learning, worship, fellowship, healthcare, the many businesses and nonprofits that serve our city and all of her people. And continue to remind us that all that we do here tonight, all that we accomplish, is for the betterment of all the people of Farmers Branch and to serve humanity. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Scott. If you'll remain standing, we will now do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll also follow that with the Texas Pledge. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, if you'll join me with the Texas Pledge, it'll be on the screen. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and indivisible. This will move us to our ceremonial items. And Mr. Clancy, Mr. Mayor Clancy, podium, sir. Bring the family up as well. It's with great honor that I get the opportunity to give the oath of office to Mayor Clancy. We can call him Mayor Clancy because he was mayor, and we get to call him Mayor Clancy again. And so we were discussing over study session this afternoon. He now gets to say, in my first mayoral and my second mayoral, so he'll have to separate the two stories. So we understand that the Clancy family has a Bible that they'd like to utilize for this oath of office, and their grandson, Will, is going to assist in that. It's Francis, obviously, for those who don't know. And here we are. So if you'll raise your right hand, you place your hand on the Bible. I state your name.
I, William P. Clancy,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of mayor
the duties of mayor
for the city of Farmers Branch,
for the city of Farmers Branch,
the state of Texas,
state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
protect,
protect,
preserve,
preserve,
and defend the Constitution
defend the Constitution
and laws of the state of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to the
Thank you.
As as is the normal customary jewelry that we get as council people, we are updating Mayor Glancy's mayoral pin so we can dust off the old one, give him a new one.
That's why you gave it to me, because I already had a pen.
And so I now get to welcome you to City Council.
Thank you very much.
And we will continue, and the mayor will want us to step out. Looks like we're going to get some photos. Let's step out. I'll have to take one step in. So now I'll turn the microphone over to Mayor Glancy as we have several more ceremonial items.
Thank you. Thank you. First off, I would like to thank my family, my wife, and son, and grandson for coming. You know, I think God has a special place for spouses of public officials because they put up with a lot, and I certainly have had support throughout my life, my wife, for 58 years. And I want to thank the council for instilling the courtesy of allowing me to come and join you again and serve the city. I think it's a great honor on my part to receive that honor from you. And if you will, I'd like to read something to you. Turn to this. This is from the charter of our city. And what it says: the mayor shall preside at the meetings of the city council and shall be recognized as the head of the city government for all ceremonial purposes and by the governor for the purpose of military law, but shall have no regular administrative duties. The mayor may participate in the discussion of all the matters coming before the council, but shall not be entitled to vote or legislative or other matters except in the cases so designated in the charter where the mayor will vote. So I'm here to facilitate the council meetings. That's my job. These 5 people up here are the legislative part of this city, and they're going to make the decisions that move our city forward. And I have great confidence in them, and I think that they deserve all of our respect and credibility, and I have confidence that we will move forward as a city, and my job will be very easy. Thank you. Now, with that, we have several ceremonial items to deal with tonight, which are usually always enjoyable. First item is to consider accepting a donation to the City of Farmers Branch Animal Adoption Center on the behalf of the estate of Dorothy Ray Holly in the amount of not to exceed $1.5 million. Is there a representative of the family here tonight?
6 of us.
Here?
Yes.
Please come up. While you're doing that, I'm going to read a little story about Miss Dorothy Ray Holly, a resident of Farmers Branch, passed away in June of 2021. Miss Holly and her wife, Glenda Sue Moore, were well known in Farmers Branch as lovers of animals. Their generous gifts have and will continue to serve the shelter animals as they wait to find their forever homes. Her past gifts have included funding of a splash pad for the city dog park, as well as funding of animal adoption center, adoption trailer, a popular and vital tool that allows the park adoption center to staff to partake in off-site adoptions and events to increase the adoption process. Ms. Holly was known for her frequent visits to the City Animal Adoption Center. She was well known by the staff, enjoyed interacting with her, and remember her kind, humorous, and unpretentious manner. After her passing, Mrs. Hawley bequeathed this gift for approximately $1.5 million to the Farmers Branch Animal Adoption Center, which is the City Council humbly will consider adopting today in the presence of Mrs. Hawley's family. Council, can I have a motion for this, accept this donation?
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the generous donation from the Holly family.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Merrick, seconded by Mrs. Williams. Okay, all those in favor? You guess you can vote on your machines. Okay, there we have it. All unanimous. In honor of that, we have this to award you folks in honor of her giving us this wonderful donation. And also I have a letter from myself thanking you folks for her donation. Is there anything you would like to say? Well, we certainly appreciate your welcome gifts, and it will be well used, and I'm sure our animals will certainly appreciate it. So. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you. Thanks again. Second item is Valerie. There she is. Come up here. You know, we're going to miss your funny face at City Hall. We're going to recognize Valerie Hawkins for 5 years in service to the City of Farmers Branch. Valerie Michelle Hawkins is an administrative assistant too, who currently works for the fire department of the City of Farmers Branch. Prior to joining the fire department in 2022, Valerie worked for the city manager's office for Farmers Branch for over 4 years, where she advanced from administrative assistant 1 to administrative assistant 2. In the city office, Valerie has successfully hurdled a wide variety of assignments, taking care of the needs of the city manager and the city council. Because Valerie comes from a family of career professionals, Valerie believes in taking initiative to get things done and get the job done right, while also remaining teachable and eager to learn and grow. Valerie is very efficient and never likes to leave a task to the next day if at all possible. Valerie is originally from Houston, Texas. She is a skilled dancer and has a member of the drill team in high school, holds a bachelor's degree in biology from Oral Roberts University, worked for Walt Disney World, and is an open water scuba diver with over 50 dives. In her spare time, she enjoys being with family, traveling, and outdoor activities, dancing, and spending time with her good friends. Outside of work, Valerie is a loving and busy mother. She has 3 energetic sons. Uh-oh. And is a very busy person and a super mom, and I can believe that, certainly. Valerie enjoys working in the City of Farmers Branch and values the relationships she has developed with her fellow co-workers over the years. She is now enjoying her new position and job responsibilities, working with Chief Daniel Latimer and the fire department, and feels like family. Okay, and do we have a pin for Valerie? Here he comes. Here, Chief. Certainly, you may.
Fair.
Please do.
I'm not usually the talking type. I got a lot of laughs there. What's my time I have, Mayor? I'm just joking. It's okay. It's all good. No, so we are here to honor Valerie. And so, like you've heard all these great things about Valerie, they are all true. And there's even so much more to all that even being read about Valerie. So she is a servant leader. She fits perfectly into our motto and what we believe in the fire department. That's what we stand for. And she was a perfect fit for that. So just a little backstory. We had a administrative assistant that had left to go to another city so she'd be closer to take care of her mother. And so she was really sad about having to leave us because, as you've heard me say, we are the best fire department around, and we truly are. Proud to say that. And so she had to do that, so then we had to go searching for somebody to fill that spot, that role. And so I would come over here to City Hall and I started looking around at different people and wanting to talk to people and kind of do like informal interviews and, oh, what are you doing today? Oh, nothing. I see how they would act. I said, oh, you don't fit or you fit. But I was told by our former city manager and then also our now city manager, you can go anywhere you want to, but you can't come to CMO. You can't come to city manager's office. So I'd find my way in the city manager's office, go to see my boss, Ben. And I started kind of scoping out who could come fit the role. And then all of a sudden I found out she was available. And so then we started having those little conversations and we brought her over to the fire department. And then we knew we had her because she said, oh, I have sons. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. So you're going to fit fantastic. And she was talking about all about her family and her kids and how much she loves her parents. And so we set her up with like a fire department sticker. We gave her kids tattoos, fake ones. All right, fake ones. We had fire helmets and everything. And so I said, take these home and think about it, we gave her shirts. And so, I mean, look, you see how nice these things are. And so they don't have those things at city manager's office. It's not as fun. And so, it didn't take long and she could see the light and she just wanted to come hang out with us. And so we're so thankful for her. And so she came over this last summer, around this last summer, and she was still helping out with city manager's office. And we finally were able to cut the cord, they wanted to keep her. So I kind of throw in their face all the time for a while, and I still do at times to my boss or city manager about how we have Valerie. And so every Tuesday he has to come over and pick me up for a meeting, and I just say, oh, let's tell Valerie bye. And he gets upset, And so, but that's, and I say that all in kidding, but seriously, she was a steal. And I tell her that every week. I tell her, I said, Valerie, you were a steal. We stole you from City Hall. And we are so thankful that she works there. Everything she says, she does. She works hard. She doesn't want to leave if she has to go home, but she loves her family. I'll tell you that. I look at her 3 boys and her mom and dad and her sister and her other sister that couldn't be here tonight. She talks about them all the time, and she loves y'all tremendously. So y'all have done a great job. Thank you for giving us Valerie. Thank you, Ben, for giving us Valerie. We appreciate it. But so just, if y'all would, just please clap for Valerie one more time. Here's your service pin for 5 years. There you go. Here, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Chief. I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate this. I love this city. I love working for this city. And here's to many more years. Thank you.
Perfect.
Chief, I think we were fortunate enough to get a pretty nice replacement, so you just stay over there in the fire department. Don't come back and rob us again. Next, we have a presentation of Texas Recreation and Parks Society North Region Excellence in Programming Award to the Farmers Branch Aquatic Center for the Learn to Swim Spanish Outreach Program. Do we have someone here from Parks or from the Rec Center? Okay. Last month, the Farmers Branch Aquatic Center was presented with a Texas Recreation Park Society North Region Excellence of Programming Award for the Recreation and Aquatics. This annual award is given to one municipality in North Texas and aims to recognize the outstanding ongoing program offered for 2 or more years. A successful Learn to Swim program offers the community a variety of lessons to various ages, skills, and available times. One aspect of this is community overlooked is a availability of those lessons for all demographics that reside in our community. According to the USA Swimming Foundation, 60% of Hispanic children do not know how to swim. In 2017, Farmers Branch population totaled 42% Hispanic. The Aquatic Center reaches out to the Spanish-speaking community in advertising in Spanish and hiring bilingual instructors, advertising to the Spanish-speaking community, helping increase swim lessons, attendance, and accumulated over 1,200 Farmers Branch residents learning how to do a lifelong skill of swimming. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Here's the award for that. Would you like to say something?
Sure.
Sure.
So thank you. This all in the staff. I see a lifeguard out there in the audience. So my priority is teaching the kids how to swim. We want to make sure everybody has opportunity. So thank you, council, mayor. So we will continue to do that. So we look forward to serving our community for the upcoming year as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Next is a presentation of the Texas Recreation and Parks Society North Region Excellence and Programming Award to the City Farmers Branch Historical Park for the, and here, I failed Spanish in college, guys, De La Raza Muerto, Day of the Dead in celebration. Farmers Branch Historic Park was presented with the Texas Recreation and Parks Society North Region Excellence in Programming Award for the Day of the Dead celebration. This award is given annually to one municipality in North Texas and aims to recognize an outstanding ongoing program offered for 2 or more years. Historical Park created an intimate Day of the Dead celebration in 2018 that was since grown in popularity and currently sells out annually. The family-friendly event is designed to educate the public and attendees on the traditions and customs of this holiday. The holiday focuses on gathering of family and friends to honor and pay respect to loved ones who have passed, reflect on their lives, and help support their spiritual journey. Activities include a variety of remembrances, altars, entertainment, including mariachi band and folklore dancing, crafts, and authentic food and beverage. Okay, do we have someone here to receive the award? Here they come. Congratulations. Great job. Anybody want to say something about the process?
Well, this is truly a team effort, this event, and it's near and dear to all of our hearts. So on behalf of myself and the Historical Park, I'd like to thank Tony and Kim and Lauren and Hillary, our manager, for pulling this off, along with some wonderful volunteers that assist us for these events that we continue to have every year. Thank you all so much.
I'm a little bit shorter than everybody else. My name is Rachel Arroyo. I'm the Interim Parks and Recreation Director. I just want to take 2 quick seconds because, unlike Chief, I do not like to talk. But I would like to thank our 2 department or divisions, our Aquatic Center and the Historical Park. The amount of time, effort, dedication, blood, sweat, and tears that they put into these programs and to the community is insurmountable. They have put in all of their heart, and time again, they've won these awards. I know for a fact the Aquatic Center has won this multiple times. The Historical Park has won not only local, but regional, state, and national awards as well. So while Chief may have the best fire department, we have the best Parks and Recreation department. So big kudos.
Okay, lastly, we have a presentation of the Texas Charter of the American Planning Association's 2022 Richard R. Lilly FAICA Plan Excellence Program Certificate of Achievement to the Planning Department. Somebody from the Planning Department coming forward? Okay, guys. The Texas Charter of the American Planning Association presents to the City of Farmers Branch and its Planning Department the 2022 Certificate of Achievement for the Richard R. Lilly FAICA Planning Excellence Program. Farmers Branch is one of 44 Texas cities and towns to receive such recognition this year. The certificate recognized planning excellence in the municipalities throughout the state, including professional planning, standard documentation by the planning staff, and the support establishment by the city and the planning and zoning department. Well, thank you. We have an award for you. Okay, great job, folks. Anybody want to talk about this?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, City Manager. First of all, I wanted to introduce our amazing team. It is really the team that makes these awards happen. I remember the last time we were here to receive the awards in 2021, we had a shorter team. We were 1 member down, but now we are fully staffed, so I'm proud to present our team members. We have Chris Webb, our Business Development Specialist. We have Brian Campbell, Senior Planning Technician. Of course, our amazing boss, Allison Cook, who's trying to hide there. We have Sarah Barkman, our Senior Planner, and newest addition to our team, Marcos Narvaez, our new Lead Planner, and our Contract Planner, Cleta McCurdle, who couldn't join us. The timing is not really working at her end, but she knows about this award and she's in spirit with us. Also, a good news, besides all the accomplishment that they do day-to-day basis, helping people, helping applicants, 2 of our team members, Chris Webb and Sarah, have passed the American Institute of Certified Planners test, and they are, one of them is certified already, the other one is working towards getting her certification. So that's a big achievement. That's an industry-wide standard recognition for planning. So I wanted to say congratulations to them also, and looking forward to a few more great awards in the next year. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to thank the planning department. We have a few new faces this year, and they've changed a bit over the past 12 to 24 months. And Shrupa Sen has done a fantastic job. You might not know her. She's very quiet in nature, but not so much when you get to know her. And the thing is she's just a great leader too. So I want to thank Ms. Sin tonight. And I want everyone to know, but mainly Chief Latimer, we don't have to give out tattoos and t-shirts for people to work with us because gosh darn it, people just like us, okay? So if you want to come work with us and get to know more about you, we won't poach you. You can come approach us. But we do have t-shirts.
Crowd. Okay, back. Let's squeeze in. Okay, we'll get you. Okay. Perfect, thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, now, my agenda's right. We were going to have Mrs. Sally Derrick come and talk to us about the search for the superintendent for the schools. And Sally, if you would, if you'd like to speak here, I think the people would like to hear what you have to say as much as we would. It's kind of odd to stand up there with your back to the people. So please do it here. Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, my name is Sally Derrick, and I am the Vice President of the CFB ISD School Board. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. As you may or may not know, CFB ISD has begun a search for a new superintendent. As part of the search process, we are currently conducting a survey to gather input from parents, students, staff, and community members to help us in identifying the characteristics and traits of the next superintendent. And that's why I'm here tonight. We want to invite all stakeholders to participate in a brief survey. It can be found on the district's website, www.cfbisd.edu. On the homepage, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, you will see a large red check mark. If you click there, that will take you to the survey. The school board will use this data collected from the survey to create a profile for the next superintendent. And with the assistance of our search firm, Lisa Crass, we will search for candidates that meet the district stakeholders' desired traits. Once candidates are selected, trustees will interview each individual before selecting a lone finalist. The district hopes to announce the next CFB ISD superintendent by mid-March of 2023. The survey link will be available until tomorrow, December 14th at noon. So we appreciate your participation and feedback as we move forward in this process. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Derrick. Appreciate that. Also, items of community interest is, oh, sorry, didn't get my mic on. Items of community interest is, Jeff, are you going to do that? Oh, have I got it?
Line. Okay, we have a long list only because it's the end of the year and there's so many great things happening here in Farmers Branch. It may not feel like the holidays, but they're here, and so we have so much happening this week and next during our Christmas in the Branch celebration. For instance, you can explore rich holiday traditions from across the globe with our celebration of Christmas at the Historical Park. This Friday, December 16th, it's a lantern-led tour at 6:30, or try the regular tour Saturday, December 17th at 2:30 p.m. This Saturday morning, Santa's on the move from City Hall at 9 a.m. to Kerr Park at 11 a.m. There you'll have a chance to greet Santa and his friends, possibly the Grinch, with light refreshments. Or, if that's not your cup of tea, check out our holiday marketplace on Saturday from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Grove. Entrance and all attractions are free. It'll have a Latin flair with live music by Las Phoenix. And continuing through January 3rd, skating under the stars at the Children's Health Star Center, weather permitting. Enjoy the holiday season at our outdoor rink under a blanket of Texas stars. For more on all of these events, go to christmasinthebranch.com. And if that's not enough, we have even more. The Farmers Branch Animal Adoption Center will be hosting a low-cost vaccine clinic from 10 a.m. to noon at the Johnson Outpost located at 3325 Valley View Lane. Also, congratulations are due to several new leaders who have been promoted to important positions across the city, and we want to recognize them tonight. Tom Higgs is our new Director of Fleet and Facilities. Is Tom here? There he is. That's Tom. Tom has worked for the city for 4 years and has been Deputy Director of Fleet and Facilities for the last 4 months. Tammy Zimmerman. Tammy is here also. She's our new Interim Director of Finance. She's been our controller for 7 months, and before that, she was the accounting manager for the city of Frisco. She also taught financial accounting at UT Austin, her alma mater. Rachel Arroyo, who has already been up to the podium. Rachel is our new Interim Director of Parks and Recreation. Rachel has been with the city for 8 years. Before this title, she was Recreation Superintendent. She's also a certified teacher and a Red Sox fan. We will not hold that against her. Jay Siegel is our new Interim Police Chief. There's Jay. Thank you. Chief Siegel. Chief Siegel has worked for the city for 24 years and been Assistant Chief since 2017. He's also a graduate of the FBI National Academy. Let's give them all a big round of applause. Okay, also work has begun on our new Hoya playground at Orengood Park. You may have noticed earlier this week, crews began disassembling the existing playground equipment. The design and construction is entirely funded by grant dollars. Our staff expects the new playground to be open sometime this summer. For more, you can visit playathoya.com. Okay, a reminder on leash laws. No dogs or cats can be allowed to run off leash in any unfenced public area of the city at any time. At any time. Owners who permit their animals to do so are subject to fines. The only exception is our Barney Wood Dog Park. Please report any off-leash activity on FBTX Connect, the app, or by calling the AAC directly at 972-919-8770. Also, friends, a reminder, don't pour that holiday grease down the drain. Join the 2022 Holiday Grease Roundup. We have a roundup. Drop off your used cooking oil at the Citizens Collection Center, 1399 Valley View Lane, any Thursday, Friday, or Saturday between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., except for holidays. For more info, call 972-919-2613. And you can still get tickets for the classic romance Beauty and the Beast at our own Firehouse Theater right across the street. This tale as old as time runs through December 18th. Buy tickets at thefirehousetheater.com. And lastly, as always, you can sign up for City e-News at farmersbranchtx.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. All right. Next is the citizens' comment. Public comment is your opportunity to address the City of Farmers Branch elected officials directly about issues that are important to you and to your community. But there is a procedure you must follow, and time limit on that. We allow that to 3 minutes. So I have several people here who have signed up to speak. And so the first I have is David Silver. David, there you are, David. Okay.
Good evening and Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah to everybody. I think this is 4 meetings in a row I get to be first. I'm here tonight. Welcome back, Mayor Clancy. Thank you for taking up this torch again. Appreciate it very, very much. I'm going to be brief. So to those of you on the council who listened to the redistricting plan ad nauseum, and you still voted for plan number 7, map number 7, excuse me, I simply want to say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I've been to the meetings the last 4 times. The maps have been brought to y'all's attention at least the last 4 times, and I don't think I've heard anybody say, yay for map number 7, but yet we got it. So I am a squeaky wheel. I would like to have some grease here, and I want you to know that as our representatives, you need to listen, If you're listening, you need to listen harder, more in depth, and do what your constituents are asking you to do, or even better, don't do what they're asking you not to do. And for those of you who are voting against what your constituents are telling you in council meetings like myself, those of you who are voting for people who are not present, we deserve more because we're taking our time to be here, to talk to you, to talk to each of you. And I want you to give that consideration, please. And I want to thank the Adoption Center for bringing these two cute little kittens. And again, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. Next up is Vicki Harrison.
Vicki Harrison, 3706 Ridge Oak Way. Tonight we celebrate. I want to express my sincere gratitude to longtime resident Mayor Clancy, a gracious, consummate professional. He is humble, he is straightforward, he is a man of integrity who is courteous and respects each individual. We thank you for stepping up and answering the call and making the sacrifice to return here as mayor. Always willing to listen, very fair-minded, he has a servant heart, as does his wife, Frances, who is a consummate lady and a gracious woman. He will conduct council meetings and represent the city with decorum, appropriate language, and with a positive, welcoming spirit. He respects our charter and our code of ethics and will facilitate and expect that behavior when he leads the city council. God bless you, Mayor Clancy. We appreciate your sacrifice and your always great, gracious spirit of joy. We're so happy to have you. God bless you.
Thank you. Next, I have Pamela Silver.
Thank you, Mayor Clancy, for stepping back up.
Microphone. Can you get the mic up? There
Thank you,
go.
Mayor Clancy, for stepping back up. We need you, and I have total faith that you're going to right this ship. I'm going to start with some harsh comments. I strongly urge citizens to organize a petition and engage legal counsel to review and urge a revote on the redistricting and property rate subjects. Given the circumstances and timing with one council member's necessary resignation, as well as our mayor resigning in disgrace, who you voted to investigate during the last council meeting, it was wrong for a rush vote on either of these items. Now is the time to do the right thing. By the way, I want to note that there are 3 constitutional issues with the redistricting map that y'all voted in. I'm going to let others take that up with you.
Okay.
Secondly, zoning and code requirements are created for a reason. There should be a clear delineation between neighborhood and commercial activities. Otherwise, what is the purpose of having these departments on the city's payroll? This council and city serve the homeowners. We need you to act in our best interest so that this is a nice place to live. Addison is paying the price now based upon their choice to be an entertainment district 30+ years ago. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live down the street from a bar or a dump or any more than I want to live next door to a grocery store or a person who drives a commercial dumpster trailer to run his landscaping business from his rented home where his employees report to business every morning, 7 days a week. Please rush through code enforcement changes that underscore our tagline that we are truly a city within a park. We need to restore that ethic. If people want to come to Farmers Branch to buy up homes and monetize our neighborhoods by turning them into rental and vacation, I'm going to screw this up, VBRO or VRBO, whatever they are, communities, write a code that says the person's name on the deed needs to demonstrate they have lived in that house for 2 to 5 years before they can turn it into a rental. They need to demonstrate it was lived in as a residence. Be the first to set an example that building community is foundational to Farmers Branch, neighborhoods first. Not long ago, Malin Park was updated with new park equipment. I am not opposed to the changes as much as I was opposed to the fact that the total disregard that was paid to the immediate residents who were not consulted, as had been done in previous administrations. But also, no care was given to protecting and replacing the vintage equipment. The dolphin and turtle statuary is what I'm referring to. The citizens deserve the respect to be consulted and at minimum be able to suggest we wanted the statuary to remain in the park for another location. We were not, may I finish?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We were not listened to, much less asked. When I confronted the head of parks in the lobby shortly thereafter the change, he blew me off. He was very rude, actually. I want to go on the record that this is unacceptable, and I would like to see more professional project management of the people's businesses as well as respect. He is no different than our ex-mayor's conduct and why he left in disgrace. Okay. Secondly, this is really important. The ducks have been missing from Malin Park for a good period of time. For more than 60 years, Malin Park has been known as the duck park across all of Dallas. They are core to the council's commitment to Farmers Branch is a city in the park. Please move quickly to restore our ducks. And lastly, I want to re-echo that the city is endangering our citizens by forcing us to say our names and addresses so they can be posted on YouTube. I demand the city pull down all videos, haze out our faces, and redact our names and addresses. For God's sakes, we already sign up to speak. I am happy to sign in, which is more practical when I arrive. You may address me as Mrs. Silver. Everyone here knows where I live. Just look for the wall that is under construction. Thank you, Mayor Clancy. Welcome back.
Thank you. Next I have Johannes Heilemek.
H-Y-L-K-E, an old Dutch name. Anyway, thank you for letting me speak.
Sure.
Johannes Hilcomb, 2581 Brandywine Drive. We've been through a lot of stuff here the last few months, and I thought we were through with that, but apparently we're not. We're going to continue to insult people. We're going to continue to degrade people. So the process is just going to continue. I mean, the bloodshed was shed for the last 3 months. And apparently, we're going to continue to do that. Sir, you have a great job to do. You have a job to clean up a mess. Because, Christmas came early for some in this city. We have a new mayor, and the old mayor is gone. So Christmas came early. Not everybody feels that Mayor Dye is a disgrace. Not everybody feels that his legacy amounts to nothing. And I believe that we should clean up our act. I believe we should start treating each other a little different. I remember how Miss Williams was treated a few months ago. Embarrassed. An orchestrated attack on a lady, a councilman. Who was actually, allegedly, spied on. So, we need to clean up. We need to stop calling each other names. We got rid of Mayor Dye, or somebody did. And as a history teacher, I'm telling you, nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Cause and effect, cause and effect. I think we should just clean up our act, get along with each other. In the words of the great we just need to get along. You know, Rodney King, one of the great philosophers of our time. Can't we all just get along and do what's right? And I understand, I'm going to speak to this other issue later on, but you're going to continue to mess with the mayor. And I'm sure that costs money. I just think we need to stop. I just think we need to stop. Wednesday night, go to a prayer meeting. You know, we start every meeting with what? A prayer to the God of the universe. And then we go around sticking it to people. That's not consistent. That's not Christian. That's not being truthful with the gospel. If we're going to pray, let's pray honestly. Let's just get along with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Next I have Tommy Hilcomb.
Tommy Hilcomb at 2581 Brandywine Drive. Merry Christmas. Thank you for your service. It's a hard job. We are blessed. I tell my students in the detention center who get in a fight, we bring them together in a room after they've calmed down. We make them address the issue one-on-one. When we come to agreement, we tell them, let's turn the page. It is time for this council to turn the page and some of its residents. We've already made major decisions on budget. We've made major decisions on redistricting. No one is ever going to agree 100% on what we have elected you to do, which is to be our voice. And I think many citizens have to understand you can't run to us every 5 minutes and say, oh, well, what do you think about this now? That's why we elected you to represent us for the good of not just our district, but our city. And it's a tough job because you hear from the 10% that's discontented most of the time. The 90% you don't hear from, we don't know if they're happy or sad because that's the silent majority. So when citizens get up, I applaud you for coming to meetings because we do need to voice our opinion. But our opinion, we don't see the full picture. You have a packet with a full picture. It's available on the website for anyone, any citizen to look through. My gosh, it's heavy reading. So I applaud you for what you do. We have a dynamic, wonderful, new, energetic leadership in our staff. My gosh, these are the best people I've worked with, and I'm so excited to see how they're going to lead the city. So I encourage the council to really get behind them and support them because they have a vision of youth and energy that our city needs. So thank you for serving and have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you. Next, I have Rick Johnson.
Council members, Mayor Clancy, thank you for taking up the position and volunteering your time yet again. Maybe you can set an example of what a real mayor is supposed to be. I sit up here and I hear people speak. The reason why people don't come, the 90%, is because they have been turned off so much by this previous council and part of the one that's up here because they don't listen to you. They don't care what you think. They don't give you the right to vote on a park. They don't give you a right to vote on a structure in the historical park. If people were forthcoming, nobody would have to get here and come and bring information out that should have been given willingly. There was no planned attack on anybody. The problem is if you would act like representatives with all your mail that you sent to people's doors when you were campaigning, transparency, I'm going to be the voice of the people. If all of that would have been done, none of us would be here. There would be more people here because they want to participate instead of feeling like they were just talking to the wall. With that, as far as the redistricting map, you should have recused yourself, Ms. Williams, because that was the only map that would allow you to be back in your district that you said where you're moving to. And that's right up here by Marshall's. And the thing, when you gave your reason why you were leaving and you moved out of the district and stuff, with that, you got to listen to the people. When you did listen to the people, right, you still didn't listen to the people. You put up the library for a vote. What happened there? You got defeated. Even after misinformation was put out by the former mayor in a pack that he put together, and Charles Cox verified all of it, well, you got defeated. And then you came back and we're going to try to do it a different way. You got defeated again because everybody signed a petition to do that. And then you went ahead and you did it anyways in just a less of a form. Is that listening to the people? Is that representing the people? No, that's turning a deaf ear. And that's what you do constantly. And you should be ashamed of yourselves. With that being said, you want to know what? Some of you are up for re-election, and it's going to be a whole different ballgame. We decided to step back in, and nobody's a minion of anybody else that's going to be running. These are individuals. These are people that we spoke to. These are people that want to bring the council back to the citizens, not turn around and be a group of people that are handpicked to run the city. We're tired of that. We don't want that anymore. And some of the people that stand up here and say, hey, you know what, people should act better, they should reflect upon themselves and how they acted towards council members like
Come on.
Omar.
Keep it at me.
With that being the case, Mr. Clancy, I'm glad you're back. You're going to do a fantastic job. And you know what? We're bound and determined. We're going to get this city right again. And it's going to happen. There are school board members that are out there trying to beat up and the flames again about racial discontent, anything to try to manipulate an election. And they know who they are. And that I just think that's disgusting. Okay. So when it comes to this, you got to understand the reason why we're so passionate is because we've been denied and ignored. Thank you very much.
Next, I have Candace Adams.
Which one are you allowing me to speak on?
Take your time.
Sir, which one am I allowed to speak on?
This is on just on general citizens' comment. You had one on H11 that you wanted to talk to.
I just wanted to make sure because the last individual wouldn't let me talk twice.
Okay.
Okay. Citizens' comments. Candace Adams, Pebble Beach Drive. I want to talk about aggressive animal control issues that we have in our city. I heard a few weeks ago that a very dear friend of mine's pet was attacked by a stray dog and killed him. I've been so upset about that it has actually caused me a loss of sleep. I am an animal lover. I follow the rules though, and we need help. Too many dogs are out on our street and they are getting in packs and they are getting aggressive because they're hungry, et cetera, et cetera. There have been on Nextdoor, if any of y'all are on Nextdoor, to see where stray dogs have gone up to a little lady's house and her dog was on her own porch and the stray dogs attacked and killed that poor lady's best friend and therapy dog.
okay? This is a public safety issue, and it is a health issue. You know, now we're talking about dog flu going around and vaccinations and stuff for the dog flu, et cetera. It is also a safety issue for people who can't even walk their dogs on a leash, obeying the law, because there are dogs coming around and attacking them. People can't even get out of their cars because stray dogs are coming up and making them cornered in an area and stuff because they're in a pack. We have an older community here. We have some people who are not as physically able. I mean, I have this, but I'm just saying, not as able to take care of myself as I used to. I would like to have a plan of action. We need a three-prong area. We need animal services to step up and try to help get these animals off the street. I know that they are full, but they know the people whose dogs are habitually out, etc. We need our police department to issue citations to those people who are not following the rules, because if there is an attack and there's not a citation and there's not a place to start, you have to start over yourself to have that attack being registered for that dog to be listed as aggressive. And then you have to have attorneys, and it's just a huge deal. And then we need our city code enforcement people to go around and see the fences and stuff that these dogs are in. They know who are homeowners, who are renters, and the people who are renting those homes need to be held accountable for the renters that they have there, and make sure that those fences are taken care of and they're not blowing down with the next windstorm like what we had today. There are things that we can do to make this a safer place for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lastly, I have James Lockridge.
James Lockridge, 11771 Mar-a-Lago. Today I have to be kind of cautious of what I say, which is disturbing. You know, people don't come to events that city council people have for a reason. And I'm living proof of that reason, because it happened to me. We don't like getting attacked. We don't like getting scrutinized. We don't like our lives being turned upside down. We don't like it at all. Y'all want to talk about bullying in Farmers Branch? Wow. I am telling you right now, I have been bullied just as much as you, Miss Williams, just as much, because I announced that I might run for an office. That's ridiculous. City council, guys, y'all are here for a reason. And it's not to be bullies. And it's not to not listen to the citizens and the residents. This is out of control, 100%. And what upsets me the most is the way I've been treated. I've come to this city council chambers many times. I've never one time not brought the facts to this city council. Always. Every single time I've come, I've either got it in black and white, I've got it in pictures, I've got it in whatever it takes. But to be treated the way I'm being treated now really upsets me, because I've done nothing but tell the truth about what's going on in this city. Now, I started this. Now I have a letter from the Attorney General for a law, this law right here, that will go into the executive session in January. I did it working my tail off, not criticizing, harming, or hurting anybody, or trying to take their livelihood away from them, not contacting people's clients or their bosses or anybody like that. No, I got out and I busted my butt to get this to happen without trying to tear people apart. Today in study session, I'm not kidding you, that was a disgrace, 100% disgrace in study session. Having a fight is ridiculous. We need to learn to work together, and we don't. The previous city council didn't, and today's city council is not working together. We are trying to be puppets up here. We're not puppets. Each and every one of y'all represent a district and the people, not to be somebody else's puppets. And that's what we're doing. We're scared to piss somebody off. We're scared to say what's on our mind. We're scared to take the right actions. I'm asking you today, let's grow up, let's get along, and let's try to turn this city back to what it used to be and not keep ripping people's jugglers out. Mayor Clancy, thank you.
Thank you.
That's Colleen is on H11. If that's staying on consent, I'm going to let her speak before the consent agenda is motioned on.
Need to do it first.
Yes.
Let me make a comment to you folks. In what I said before and read to you about the mayor's job, is I think we have become so frustrated in our country. You know, a common thing that happens to democracies is eventually a lot of them evolve into dictatorships where we relegate too much authority to one person. You see it on the national level, you see it on the state level, and sometimes it even happens on the local level. And that's the executive branch of the government is not the people who make the laws or shouldn't be the ones. Our legislatures do that, and I think we're all frustrated when we have down to just a few people trying to make a decision for everybody. It just gets off track. And I think on a national level, and that's what I'm trying to tell you here, this council, I think we have a good council. I think we have a council that is responsible to the people, and it'll be my job to help them do those things and bring it forward. Also, some of the problems that I've heard tonight can be addressed starting in May. This council is going to do a charter revision. Every 5 years, the city is made by state law to visit the charter and set up and the charter is the basic constitution that this city's operated under. And a lot of the things that you don't like that I've heard say about redistricting, a lot of those things can be many times addressed in the charter. And you can change the way we elect officials or how we do that. Now, in the past, and I'm not putting aspersions on anybody because I've chaired charter revisions committees myself, so I'm just as guilty as other people. But I don't think we have told people that, and try to get far enough ahead to say to people, we want you to be on a charter revision, but we want you to go out and study charters. There's thousands of them. Almost every city in the United States has a charter. Certain states require it. So that's that. So there's lots of charters out there to look at. You don't have to invent the wheel, and see what ones could apply to this city. And I encourage my council, I'm not going to be in here when this process is done, but when you appoint people, start talking to people about being on a charter and go do your homework, study what things work in charters and the way things can be done, and a lot of things can be done different in the city, and it'll work real well. And I mean, the National League of Cities, the Texas Municipal League, all these folks have hundreds of copies of charters and things like that. So I would have you to start thinking about that. Go home and do your homework on charters. And come to now, these council people, all of them that's in place at that time, will be appointing at least 2 members to the charter committee. And I'll tell you this, it doesn't necessarily mean what you do is going to go past the muster, because how the process works, you'll bring it back to the council. The council will say yes to it or no to it, that particular revision of the charter, and then it will go to the voters, and you, the voters, will make that decision about how you want the city to be structured in the future. So I think that's an important part of that, and I think that's where a lot of our problems can be solved through that process. And so I thank you for coming, your comments. We're going to move on now to regular agenda items, the consent agenda. And we have one of the items on the consent agenda, Candace Adams, you wanted to speak to it before we go through that. So go ahead, come on up, if you will, and talk to us about item H11.
Candace Adams, Pebble Beach. I was sitting in the case study session earlier today, and I was appalled that there was even a discussion about a person that was asked to be considered for the open position on the Parks and Recreation Board member. That was Council Member Cristal. I don't know her last name, or if that is her last name, whatever. All I'm saying is that I am concerned about why there's even a discussion about this person, especially when I heard the facts about just a few weeks ago, her trying to impersonate Council Member Tracy Williams to get a parking spot at the Parks and Recreation sponsored event. I mean, a person that thinks they're entitled enough to impersonate a person that is on our council member also, that thinks they're entitled enough to get a parking space and they want to be on the Parks and Recreation Board position. I don't even think that should be a vote on that. When the person was told that she was not Tracy Williams, she wouldn't move and get out of line, so there was now a traffic jam. And then the person had to, that was telling her she couldn't park in the VIP area, who was a volunteer like I was at that event, trying to make sure that everyone was safe and the kids had a good time, and not having people be rude and not get out of line, and there's a traffic jam, that they had to call the police to come over there and ask her to get out of line and park where everybody else had to park. Why is that even a thing for us to vote on? She should be disqualified because she's already told a lie, misrepresented things, and causing trouble for an event that she's wanting to help and make better for the city. I don't understand why we're even considering that person for that position. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council, next on the agenda is the consent items. Do I have any action from the council on those?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with one modification, and that modification is for item H11, and we will approve the slate of applicants for the Historical Park and Preservation Board and the Senior Advisory Board that were discussed upstairs, and we will not select a Parks and Recreation slot at this particular time. So my motion is to approve the consent agenda with that modification.
Okay, everybody understand? Okay, do I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Seconded by Mr. Grant. Okay, all of you vote here. Okay, we have unanimous vote, all 5 folks. Okay, that passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is a regular item, and this is item J1, is to consider approving resolution number 2022-162, authorizing city manager to negotiate and execute a design-build contract with Lee Lewis Construction for the construction of the multi-sport facility project and take appropriate action. This thing has been in the process and back in July, and now it's up to the contractor. Council, any questions on this? Comments? And you'd like to make a presentation?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kevin Minchow, Capital Projects. I'm seeking approval to award the design build contract to Lee Lewis Construction for the construction of the multi-sport facility with a maximum price, a guaranteed maximum price of $23,255,161 and a substantial completion date of December 29th, 2023, which is a really accelerated schedule. The budget amount for the project is $23,500,000. There is a guaranteed maximum price, but with the design build method of construction, there may be potential savings during the projects. To go through the selection process for our audience, David Duman with Quorum Architects is contracted as an owner-represented architect for the project as required by state law for design build projects, to assist in the RFQ, to review designs, and during construction as needed. For the RFQ process, David Duman prepared the RFQ with review and approval of the city attorneys, facilitated the pre-submittal meeting, which had 10 contractors at that meeting, and the review committee for scoring the submittals. The submittals, there were only 2 contractors that submitted. In the end, the committee agreed that the Lee Lewis team was the one best suited for the project. They scored higher in each category with a cumulative total significantly higher. The scoring matrix is included in the council packet. Lee Lewis was chosen partially because of their 47 years in construction industry, experience with similar related projects, recent experience with Farmers Branch on the, I forgot the new name of the Star Center, but the Star Center, Children's Health Star Center in Farmers Branch, their safety record, which is their CNA leadership safety record in Texas, they received an award, excellent written references. The committee agreed and accepted Lee Lewis's construction proposal of $23,355,161 as the guaranteed maximum price and that substantial completion date of December 29th, 2023. The project is on a very tight timeline, and upon approval this evening, the design build contract for the construction of the multi-sport facility, Lee Lewis Construction, is ready to begin work. They're already forming their groups. In the audience, Bob Fullington with Lee Lewis Construction. He's a senior vice president. And then, hopefully I don't mispronounce this, Damon Bocher, vice president of Dallas Stars. And so with that, I'm here in either of the 2 parties I just mentioned to answer questions.
Council, questions? Councilman Merritt?
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, for the presentation and the overview. A couple of questions that I have related to this. We do have the substantial completion date as as December 29th. Mm-hmm. We're also going to be getting monthly reports from the design builder during the process of going through this. Is that also correct as part of the stipulation? Okay.
Periodic reports, yes.
Could you explain the difference between substantial completion and completion?
Thank you. That one, actually, you don't mind, I'll defer to. David Duman couldn't be here tonight. I don't have that exact answer. If Bob Fullington, come up.
Please come forward.
I don't want to be inaccurate, so.
I understand. Appreciate it.
It's almost ready to move in, that's what I know.
Thank you. I'm Bob Fullington, Senior Vice President, Lee Lewis Construction. Substantial completion is a term in the construction industry, and it's when the building is at a stage that it can be used for its intended purpose. Final completion is when everything is done, punch list items, sometimes, especially in today, there's little miscellaneous things that just don't get delivered in time. But as long as the building can be used for its intended purpose, which would be for the youth sports, that defines substantial completion.
Thank you very much. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate that.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to have that. While you're still there, I have one more question that'll be a construction term.
Sure.
There were two perspectives of incorporating, I guess, a new form. I guess it's the 2017 update to this particular document. There were two red line addressments of that. Is that something that will have to forthcome or come back, if you will, to the city council, or is that just an administerial type action that occurs between the city as the owner and the design build team?
Actually, I can answer that. Okay. With approval tonight, we're going to continue going through that portion you were talking about with the attorneys, and then Ben, the city manager, will be authorized to execute on that.
Okay, very good. One other question relating to construction. On section 5.10, talks of cutting and patching. And I'm sorry, this may just be Dave Merritt intrigued to understand what cutting and patching means in the construction business.
I'm not quite sure what 5-10 reads as an
It's
entirety.
on page 15, it's section 5.10 that talks about cutting and patching.
That typically would refer to a project that's being renovated, and that a lot of times you'll have to open walls up to put in new electrical, new plumbing, and that act is cutting and patching.
So potentially this is a standardized form, and I understand.
Exactly. Yes,
It's
sir.
a regular section in that.
Right.
Very good. Let me see if I have anything else in this. I did notice there were at least, and Kevin, I'll take this offline, there were a couple of typos in that I'll pass along to you that we can get those cleaned up, or maybe I pass that down to our city attorney. But thank you very much for your presentation and your addressing the questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? Okay, it's your pleasure. Okay. Yep, ready for a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 2022-162 as presented.
We have a motion put forward you by Ms. Williams, Councilwoman Williams.
Second.
Second? Seconded by Councilman Driscoll. All those in favor? Do your vote. Okay, passes unanimously, 5-0. Okay, this moves us on to item J2. And, okay, I have, Mr. Lockridge, you want to speak to this? Do you want us to talk about it first? Yes, please. Okay. Okay, council, before you, you have consider adoption of ordinance number 3776, revising the requirement for Chapter 56 of Property Maintenance Code, Section 56-53, maintenance of crops, and take appropriate action. There's some modifications to this. It's on in your packet. Council, questions? Oh, we're going to get another presentation. Okay.
Sorry. Thought it was up. Okay. Good afternoon, Council. This is Jared McGraw, Code Enforcement Supervisor. Just going to go over a few slides with you concerning possible updates to our crop maintenance section of the Property Maintenance Code, Chapter 56. This has been updated a few times. I believe you have a, sorry, look for the keyboard here, timeline in your packet, kind of outlining some of those red line changes over the last year and a half or so. To give you a little background, to run through these real quick, in August of 21, the ordinance 3696 implementing the new property maintenance code, which was a result of Leo Bonanno and the city task force group presenting recommendations to the council. That was adopted in 21. This specific ordinance didn't have any regulations for ag exempt properties, cultural crop properties. So shortly after that, in October of '21, Ordinance 3708 was created to add some exemptions for these properties, some of which included a limit of 4 feet in height for the crops. The crops were required to be homogeneous, 20 feet perimeter mowed around the property, and there was a limit specifically on hay bales that could be, how long they could be stored outside as outside storage. In May 22, the property maintenance code was updated again, eliminating the time that the hay bales could remain on the property as outside storage, and it also eliminated the 4-foot height requirement. So today, if passed, this would be the third time this specific section of the property maintenance code has been revised, and that would today remove the homogeneous requirement, and it would also remove the requirement for the 20-foot barrier, reducing that to a 10-foot barrier. Other than that, that's the specifics on the change to that section of the ordinance. I would like to go ahead and go over some general code enforcement reminders for you all and for anyone that may be watching and listening. The state requires that we do issue notices of violations to property owners. We don't issue notices to family, to friends, property managers, unless in some instances there are extenuating circumstances, some of which might be we send a notice to an owner, the executor of the property gives us a call, writes us a letter, lets us know the owner has passed away. We'll then continue working with an executor for the remainder until the property comes into compliance. But in general, we also will work with the tenant if we know that it's a residential rental property. They're responsible for some of the requirements there as well. So standard is tenant or homeowner is who we issue notices and work with. Property managers are good to have as contacts, and as they respond a lot of times more quickly than a property owner will. And it's nice to build those relationships, but we have to be careful with managing properties over enforcing violations that we find on properties. So those notices that do go out are good for a period of 365 days. So we send a notice to a property for a specific violation. That notice is valid for a period of 365 days from the date it was sent. So if we go back and the same violation appears on the same property within that time period, we will move forward with our enforcement process, which is typically a lot shorter of time than the allotted time in the initial notice. We also have, I just wanted to point out that if this does pass today, as with any new code that's passed by council, enforcement will begin essentially immediately as the effective date goes in. It will probably have a brief period of training with staff just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody understands what the new requirements are, but it will go with our regular implementation of our basic enforcement. There's also a fairly common term that goes around the code enforcement world from time to time. It's discriminatory enforcement, excuse me. This refers to concerning ourselves with who lives at the property rather than what's going on at the property. Code enforcement doesn't care who lives at a property. We don't care what their background is, how old they are, how much money they make. For all intents and purposes, we don't know who's at any given property when we're addressing issues. We're driving, we see houses. There are often times, obviously, if we've dealt with the property multiple times, we may know the person. But as this office will not and does not care who lives at a property, everybody will be enforced the same regardless. So just wanted to point those few reminders out. Other than that, I did not do good with my slides, I apologize. Do you have any questions for me?
comment.
Yes, sir.
Farm agricultural exemptions originally started with where cities incorporated out into a rural area that had farmland. And rather than those people paying city corporate tax on agricultural land, they were given exemptions to do that. It's grown out of that and it's got all out of hand. And, you know, I don't know if we're going to solve the problem here today, but now, you know, we have, what happens here, folks, is people have commercial property and they can put it under ag exemption in which they pay a fraction of the tax that they would normally pay on land. And this land is all generally held for commercial development or some other product in the future. And we used to be able to go back and collect, when they developed that land, we could go back and collect 5 years of back taxes up to its present value. And then the states read it now, they say we can only do it for 2 years. And, you know, the business community is kind of eating our lunch and playing our soul here with this whole thing. And now, and I understand that, you know, we can do these things, I mean, but the poor farmers who farm that land, they don't care if it's nothing but weeds out there for the poor farmer to farm. If we don't have any homogeneous where they have to actually take care of it and make it an agricultural product that you take off of it. If you're just mowing hog weeds and ragweeds and things like that, they're not going to get much out of it. And the developer isn't putting hardly any money into it and getting a great big tax receipt for it. So, you know, I think this whole process we've gotten messed up, and it's not, you know, our argument's not with the farmer, it's with the way the business community treats this thing. They have no idea that they're gonna raise hay out there. There's just the weeds out there to cut it off. So I don't know. I hate to take some of these things out of there. You know, this land, when it's left out there, you're going to have rodents out there, and you have all kinds of things that happen in it. I don't know where 10-foot barrier is enough to protect the people adjacent to it that have commercial property. You know, I had this kind of land up in Oklahoma, and I would mow it, and there would hawks sail all around the fence row and catch all the rice and everything else that was in that field when you mow it. And that's, you know, that type of thing exists out there, and it's a health hazard. So, but the council, I'll up to you what you want to do with this, but I think, you know, here again, we're letting the corporate world or the business developers kind of off the hook on the whole process. You have to speak. Oh, okay. Would you like to speak now? Mr. Lockridge?
Do I have to give my name and address?
Sure. We don't know who you are.
There you go. So the ordinance, I do appreciate the city coming to the table, visiting with me. We have gone a long ways. We're still missing one state law. Section 251.004 says no nuisance act can be brought against an agricultural operation that has been in business for more than 1 year or in operation more than 1 year. At the end of that, it says the city has the right to enforce the state law of an endangerment to humans or to anything else. And don't quote me on that, but it does says the city has the right to enforce a state law, not a municipality law. So we're getting there. This law that will go to the Capitol in executive session in January is going to take this a nuisance act that the cities have in the state of Texas away. And you're not going to be able to enforce any of these laws on us, none at all, moving forward once it passes. Now, it also says that the city wants a barrier mowed around our property and won't let us use it for agricultural exemption. The city is required to maintain it themselves because it is a city easement and a city right-of-way. So Mowing the edges of these streets and mowing the right-of-ways, that is a city property. It's not the landowners. It's not the farmer's responsibility. And this law right here is going to clarify that. So what I'm asking the city to do today is to, A, look at section 251.004, read it, understand it, go back, put this on the table, go back, discuss again, and come back forward. I agree with the 10-foot on the street sides. I agree 100%. But maintaining a 10-foot barrier or 15, we need to figure out why the farmers and the landowners are maintaining city property when the city should be allowed to do it. Let the farmers farm. Let them spray the fertilizer. Let them put down the weed killer. Let them use the land the way it should be used, not how the city wants it to be used. And Mayor Clancy is right. We have habitat that lives in these crops and in these fields, along the creeks, along the wooded areas. If we keep taking all the habitat away from the wildlife, what will we have left? We won't have anything. We have more rats in dumpsters, at restaurants, behind the stores at night. There's tons of rats. I can go out to Dunkin' Donuts and find 50 rats a night, every night, where they throw out their bread and it hits the ground and the rats come in to eat it. So I'm just asking you to look at this law again. I agree with the 10. I think we do need to do some more adjusting on it and table it and come back at a later date with it. I think that we have a little bit more discussion to go to be able to say that we're the first city to help the farmers and the ranchers and keep what Texas is alive. And that is what we do, farming and ranching. So thank you, Mr. Clancy.
Thank you, Rod. Okay, council? Questions?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a
Roman?
question. Are you familiar with that section 2 something 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 that he's referring to?
Yeah, I was just looking at it.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is? Does it apply to us? If it does, to what extent?
Just when we had that memo from Kevin on. We, talks about a nuisance action. No nuisance action may be brought against agricultural operation that's been in operation for 1 year or more prior to the date the action is brought. And looking at it, it appears to apply to a private cause of action for nuisance and doesn't necessarily apply to the city. Much of the debate we've had with the gentleman in the past was some other requirements, and those requirements did not apply to the property because the property was not an agricultural operation when it was annexed into the city. So what we can do is we can go ahead and pass this tonight, and if we feel that we need to come back and make yet another tweak, we can, excuse me, we can do that at the next meeting. Because this is a new one for me. I wasn't aware that this was an issue with him. I thought. There we go. Okay.
And if you want to, I have another question if you want to review that. So we've heard a little bit about vermin and other animals living inside of the crops potentially. And so that sparked a thought, and I think we've maybe had this discussion before, but I don't remember what the answer is to my question, which is if a property becomes a health and safety hazard to the neighboring properties, what recourse do we have to be able to address those concerns?
Well, we wouldn't if this passes and is allowed to stay. That's ultimately what a lot of our codes and ordinances are made to do, is to prevent those types of environments and situations for the nuisance and health and safety issues. So if this passed, and kind of as it is to an extent now, I mean, we are limited to being able to curb some of those things.
Okay. What recourse do we have now under the existing law?
The existing one right now requires the crop to be the same kind, homogeneous, and the 20-foot barrier. So if it got less than 20 feet from a curb or property line, then we could, mow that perimeter. But that would be about it at this point. Unless it was multiple, and if it wasn't homogeneous, then at that point, I guess we'd be able to take more of a direct approach to the actual grass that was infiltrating the homogeneous crop.
So how does the crop being homogeneous or us having a 20-foot barrier affect our ability to address rodents and other things that may live in there? I mean, maybe you can make an argument and say, well, less grass, but I don't know that necessarily specifically addresses it.
I would probably agree with you.
Okay. Did you figure that out?
Yes.
Okay.
And I apologize, it's been some time, but we actually looked at this a long time ago, and I didn't think this was still an issue with the gentleman. And just let me read from our prior opinion. With respect to whether or not the Texas Agricultural Code, Section 251.004, prohibits the city from enacting nuisance ordinances prohibiting certain agricultural operations or from enforcing such ordinances, Mark White, while serving the Texas Attorney General, wrote the following only a year after the enactment of Chapter 251 of the Texas Agricultural Code in an opinion regarding the scope of Section 251.004. And I quote, "We conclude that the legislature's intent in enacting Section 251.004 was simply to limit the circumstances under which suits may be brought against agricultural operations that are not being conducted in violation of any law. In other words, where a legal proceeding alleges that an agricultural operation constitutes a nuisance, but the operation is not being conducted in violation of any statute or ordinance, such a proceeding would constitute a nuisance action within the meaning of Section 251.004. Proceedings for damages or injunctive relief initiated by private individuals would fit in this category. On the other hand, where a proceeding is initiated to enforce a statute or ordinance, it would not constitute a nuisance action under Section 251.004. That was an Attorney General in 1982. Since that date, there have not been any cases or further Attorney General opinions on this issue. Therefore, the city ordinance declaring operations a nuisance and an enforcement action pursuant to this ordinance is not prohibited by 251.004. So in other words, the issue that is raised is not an issue, and we do not need to address this again.
Okay. Do you have any questions about what he just read or said? Do I? Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. Are we allowed to?
It's up to you if you want to let him speak. It's up to you, Mayor, if you want to let him speak again. This is a legislative matter for the council, and it's your prerogative.
I'd just like to make sure that we can move forward, in having a public dialogue with the resident who's having issues. I understand a lot of meetings were had, a lot of things were said in closed-door meetings, and I just want to make sure that we can have an open discussion so that it's embedded in the record that we've made conscious effort to try and resolve this issue and address whatever questions the resident may have.
Let me add one other thing,
Sure.
Council, is that provision in the Agriculture Code would be self-executing. In other words, we would not have to implement that into our ordinance to give that statute any meaning and effect. So it would be a nullity to add any changes to our ordinance to incorporate that reference. All I'm advising you is that statute does not prohibit us from making these changes and enforcing our ordinance.
Questions? Okay.
Good.
Any questions? Okay. Council, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I'd like to move to approve ordinance number 3776 as presented.
You have a motion before you made by Councilman Roman. Still have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Jackson. All those in favor, please mark your ballot. Okay, that's voted that is unanimous. Okay, passes. Okay, on we go now to item J3, which is, get over here. This is to consider a report from the investigating attorney regarding the ethics complaints against former Mayor Robert Dye and conduct a hearing on the complaints and take appropriate action.
Mayor and Council, if I can interject, Kara White with the firm of Taylor Olson is here tonight. She, as a result of my prior report to the council on the action that you took, the city attorney was required to engage an independent attorney to investigate the ethics complaints against the former mayor. She has completed that report. A copy of that report has been submitted to all of you. She is here to answer any questions or make a brief report at your pleasure. Kara, if you want to come up.
Okay. And I have a citizen that wants to address this. Do you want to talk about it before she comes up? Or? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Mr. Williamson, Mr. Smith. My name is Carol White. I'm with Taylor Olson, Adkins, Rollin, Elam, and Fort Worth. We were asked to review the complaints submitted by your former mayor. We have done that review. We've submitted to you a report. So I am here to ask or answer any questions that you may have.
Council, any questions of attorneys? Guess not. Okay, let's let this gentleman come up and speak to it. He wanted to.
Johannes Hilcomb, 2581 Brandywine Drive. I guess in the spirit of what Mrs. Hilcomb was said earlier, you know, sometimes you need to move on. I don't know, you know, ethics violations, I'm enough of a history teacher to know that when those things come up, motivation, the question I ask is what motivated that particular question? What are you investigating and why? What's the motive? And what do you intend to accomplish by proceeding, especially with the mayor being a former mayor? I don't know. That's up to you to answer. But I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to check out your motive. Why are we doing this? What's the point? And move on. You know, our Bible says this: man proposes, but God disposes. I just think it's time to move on. I don't know what's going to be accomplished by such a vote. And if some folks feel better, you know, if the mayor is duly ostracized, if that makes you feel good, good. Move on. Do it. But I don't think it's going to help you sleep any better. I really don't. So, yeah, you can laugh. That's fine. That's fine. You see, this is the problem. This is the problem. I hope you recognize the problem. That I cannot speak without getting something in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, you have some suggestions before you that we are required to act on this issue, so Anybody have any comments or motion or?
There are no comments from my peers, and I'll wait. No comments. I'll make a comment first. I would have hoped that we had closed this matter out last period in our last meeting. It proved that we needed to move forward with the external investigation, and we could not draw it to a close with the investigation we did with our internal investigation. There are some options that were presented, and I think both of these, correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, if I may, was Ms. White's firm document made public?
It is a public record. I don't know if anybody's asked for a copy of it, but the report is public. Anyone who wants a copy of it can make a request to the city secretary.
Fair enough. It outlines several actions. Some of those actions, as have already been discussed, are no longer on the table since the former mayor resigned. It's very difficult to adjudicate someone who's not in that particular role any longer. However, as a result of the presentations that we've been presented, contained within the 2 requested investigative reports by internal and external legal counsel that the City Council received, I make a motion that the former mayor, Robert Dye, is hereby reprimanded for not meeting the standards of conduct expected of the Code of Ethics.
Okay, you have a motion before you made by Councilman Driscoll, and Councilman Jackson will be excused from this. He's one of the parties.
He can sit there. He's already disqualified himself.
Okay, all right. Okay, do I have a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Driscoll. All those in favor, please mark your ballot. Okay. Okay, the vote is 4-0. So with Councilman.
Mayor, I have a couple of thoughts I'd like to share, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thank you. The question's been asked several times, and even tonight. Why pursue the ethics complaints after the mayor resigned? And so it needs to be clear, because apparently it's not clear, because I've been asked a number of times the same question, but the answer is really simple. Our Code of Ethics says a complaint made against an officer shall be processed and resolved even if such person resigns from their position or office prior to resolution of the complaint. It's that simple. So the Code of Ethics has this built-in accountability provision that we must follow. Now, as the complainant, I was given the option to withdraw the complaints and was even asked by someone to drop the complaint, and I declined. Because in addition to the Code of Ethics, I have a moral obligation to residents to pursue accountability. Accountability is one of the 5 key ingredients to our city's core values: respect, excellence, accountability, care, and trust. You ask any one of our city employees, and they can recite this to you. Unfortunately, the last several weeks have not put our wonderful Farmers Branch in its proper light. And I pray that tonight not only brings closure, but healing, so together we can all focus on moving forward. Sincerely, Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, I'll have a motion for adjournment. The time is 7:55. Who made the, Councilman Driscoll? Councilman Driscoll and Councilman Merrick made the motion. Councilman Driscoll second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, we are adjourned.